My name is Chris. I'm a fourth year ethnic studies major. I'm applying for vice chair external. I'm gonna be going into my fifth year next year, so to kind of give you a background, I guess, I don't know. But I also wanted to start out with a quote. I have to understand what my strengths and limitations are and work from a true place. I try to do this as best I can while still protecting my writer self, which more than ever needs privacy. Sandra Cineros. So many of you know me as Chris, the T-list or Moose, and I was a scriptwriter this year. And the journey that it took with writing and really committing to it is really something that I needed this year, and it reminded me of the potential that we and that how we as people have the potential to connect not only with each other, with our parents and our friends, but also with San Diego. I haven't really been active in KP since my first year. For a lot of different reasons. I didn't feel, I came into this space and I tried to do the best I could to be a part of it by doing every committee that I could, being MC for the 20th gala. But there were a lot of times when I didn't feel good enough, cool enough, where I felt like I couldn't be my whole self, where I felt I couldn't be clear in the space. So after my first year, I kind of left and I decided to grow with other communities and with other people. So this is going to be kind of boring because I'm going to kind of list, but I just want to give background to people that might not have a chance to look at my application. But my second year, I became a cross-cultural center intern. I coordinated the Queer Pinay Pinoy Conference, and I helped start with Mecha and Kamalayan Collective, the Student Worker Collective, which was a collective that worked to fight for workers' rights on this campus. During my third year, I continued to be part of Kamalayan, to hold educational discussions. I also served as the Director of Internal Affairs for Spaces, which was really hard and really tiring, but I think it's something that allowed me to see how organizations work, how centers work, what I need to keep my sanity in such a position that asks for so much, and to also empower whoever's there to do the work that they need to do as well. So I'm going to kind of cut this short, but basically, I decided to run for Vice Chair External because I think it's important, and from what I've learned from all my different experiences, that the spaces that I've been a part of have grounded me and connected me to communities and to people. So that's why I wanted to run for Vice Chair External. The events of last quarter, after the events of last quarter, it became more apparent to me that KP really, really needs to connect with San Diego. KP needs to connect with San Diego and ground itself in the community. How does it look like? I don't really know, and I can't really answer that for you because it's something that board as a whole needs to talk about. How does KP interact with San Diego? How do they interact with the shops that the titos and the titas are running, you know? So it's important to understand and connect with the people of San Diego so that we are better able to understand how we can serve and empower and interact with the students that we meet during high school conference and through our partnership with Morse. It's important to understand the struggles and the experiences of our brothers and sisters in San Diego so that an art and culture festival truly reflects what they need to feel empowered, validated, and heard. It is important to understand the voices, stories of Filipinas and Filipinos on this campus, in our homes in San Diego, so that we don't just put on a show and spring, but so that people become aware, dialogue, and fight for change for our communities at a personal, local, and global level. So I have a few points of why, of what I want to do if elected as Vice Chair External. I want to identify and build relationships with nonprofit orgs in SD, such as KMB, Gabnet, Operation Samahan, because it's important to know what resources are here in San Diego so we could relay that to the youth, to the people that might not be able to speak English. So basically, collaborate with nonprofit organizations to coordinate workshops and educational discussions at least once a quarter Also connect with them so that they could coordinate workshops during high school conference. And I think this is really important so that high school students know the people that are there to support them in their communities. Because even though we have a partnership with Morris, and even though we have high school conference, people from Southeast can't come up to UCSD all the time to get what they need. So these workshops would relate to leadership development, Filipino history, and contemporary issues. I'd also like to collaborate with nonprofit orgs in SD to help facilitate workshops for KP Board so that we have an understanding of what's going on in the community that we're working in, and so that the pressure isn't always on us or on board, because I think that's a hard thing, because a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't know, how do I know, like, I don't know. Collaborate with, I really want to collaborate with the outreach coordinator and the youth empowerment coordinator, because they do work with KP Core. I want to identify resources and create awareness about these resources for high school students in a number of ways, through the website, through a resource guide. And I know that the outreach coordinator and the youth empowerment coordinator have to coordinate a field trip once a quarter for the high school students. So I want to help them out with that and create a space for awareness, dialogue, and sustained involvement for high school students through field trips to sites of historical, cultural, or political significance to underrepresented and marginalized communities. What else do I want to do? I want to meet regularly with the COCOs, the outreach coordinator, youth empowerment coordinator, social awareness, community activism, and gender and sexuality awareness, to discuss issues relevant to Filipinas and Filipinos and Filipino Americans in San Diego, the States, and in the Philippines, to really figure out what kind of initiatives, projects, and programs we want to engage ourselves in. I also want to collaborate with them and meet with them regularly to find and present information regarding cultural, social, media, and political events outside of UCSD. I also know I really want to assess KP's relationships with different affiliates, allies, and coalitions that we're a part of. But I think before doing that, what KP Board needs to do first is really ground themselves in more detailed principles aside from space, because space is really vague. It still doesn't tell you what KP believes in. It still doesn't tell you what KP believes in. So I just want to have more dialogue with the board about the principles, so that we could assess our current affiliations, allies, and coalitions, and see if these are things that we really need to be a part of or that we benefit from. Lastly.
Third year from Revelle College. I am an econ and psychology double major with a minor in accounting. And I'm running for the position of vice chair external. Like April, I didn't have something fully planned out. I plan to speak from my mind. So I do have like 4 main points though. But so I'm running for vice chair external because, you know, after being really involved with external stuff this year, I'm finance this year. But so I'm finance this year, but I really shadowed both Jess and Camille, and after seeing the work that they've done, like, it's really encouraged me that I have more purpose still left in the space. And so with that said, I'll just go straight into like my visions or goals for this position. So this is in no particular order. So first, I really want to continue the strength of FCC. I feel like FCC this year has skyrocketed exponentially. Like, I feel like the bonds and the relationships we have with all the FCC schools have really grown from when I was the first year. When I was the first year, I had no idea what FCC was. And even as a second year on board, it was just